Welcome, everyone, to the season finale of our Prelude chats about the wonderful music that will be played at our May 11th season finale of Your Anchorage Symphony Orchestra. It's been a wonderful season, and we're so excited at our growing attendance and growing ecstasy of support of the orchestra in so many ways. And we look forward to having you in the audience to enjoy this wonderful live music as our season comes to an end and we gear up for a new season of lots of exciting new things. So I'm Susan Wingrove-Reed, the education consultant for the orchestra and principal keyboard player. And it's my pleasure to welcome Elizabeth Schulze, our music director. Congratulations on a wonderful season, Elizabeth, with the orchestra. And we're super excited about this finale. So when you were programming this, what would be the final statement of this season? The works Celebration, the Rachmaninoff Piano Concerto, and Scheherazade. I mean, what an amazing combination of pieces. So why don't you start by giving us a few thoughts about Celebration and your perspective on that music?
Well, Gao Hong is a world famous Chinese pipa player. Mm-hmm. It's a stringed instrument, bowed and plucked. It's actually plucked, not bowed. It's plucked. And she is a remarkable composer as well. I think she has always written music for her own instrument and concertos for her instrument and orchestra. But this Celebration is her first, I'm pretty sure, truly or fully orchestral work. And it is a depiction of the annual festivals throughout the Chinese year, whether it's New Year's, the Moon Festival, Harvest Festival, all of those wonderful events that take place throughout the year. And the music evokes the sounds of that celebration, of those celebrations. And I got to know her music and also her when she came to the Maryland Symphony to give the premiere of the full orchestral version, and that is the version that we'll be performing as well. She has written it in different iterations for different ensembles, mm-hmm. wind ensembles, a mix of Chinese instrument ensemble plus Western instruments. So she's found ways to really reach many, many different audiences with this piece of music. And it is so delightful. And the exciting thing is she will be with us during the week and at the performance to present her, her words. And she is just a lovely, creative, brilliant woman. So I'm really excited that our audiences will get to meet her and our orchestra.
Yes. And Celebration alone, the title and then the ambiance of that as a thought for the opening of this concert just brings joy.
Well, I mean, we started the season with Ravish and Mayhem, and which was also a different kind of celebration, but it was a celebration taking place in an Arabian marketplace 1,000 years ago during the times of the 1001 Nights, and then of course to round out the season from the very beginning to the end with the Scheherazade. So I like to have resonance from beginning to end. Sometimes it's a secret one, but other times it's, quite in your face like this, pretty obvious. But it is wonderful to start with Celebration because it is a celebration of a great season and continued growth in our audiences and also in our programs and in our artistic growth continues.
Yes. So next on the menu of this banquet is Rachmaninoff's Second Piano Concerto, which is without question one of the top concertos of the 20th century on any instrument with orchestra. And it's just an amazing work with an amazing history. So why don't you tell us a little bit about our guest artist who will be playing it, and then also your perspective on this incredible music.
Well, I haven't seen Terence in a long time. The first time we performed together was early on in my life as a conductor. It was way back with the Buffalo Philharmonic number of years ago. And he was also a young up and rising soloist, and it was a wonderful meeting. I think he did Tchaikovsky that time, and Tchaikovsky's first piano concerto. And I've always known him as a brilliant pianist, and have always looked to find other opportunities to work with him. And this came up, and he's a remarkable pianist. It's a pianist of power and great intensity, and also beautiful lyricism. I think he's just going to thrill our audiences. And of course, the music itself is intense. It's passionate. It is obviously coming out of a long struggle. A composer who is seeking to reassert himself and to the world as a great musician. And the fact that he wrote it for himself as well, Rachmaninoff, it just brings all the power back into the music. It's such a story, and I know that you will have already related that story about him finding discouragement and literally not writing for months and months and months and months and months, and wondering if he would ever write again, and then finding the vision to continue and the encouragement to continue. So
and the help that he needed to
absolutely.
get through, which is a really important element of his
story. It really is. It is a wonderful message. And it was probably, it happened during a time when that was not considered necessarily an easy way to go. But luckily he turned to the people that could, to a specific person really, who could sort of refocus him and give him the encouragement, and also I think the opportunity in a way to take the chance and go back in and get busy. And he did, and it is one of the great concertos of all time, and certainly a crowd pleaser. So
yes.
Yeah, and Terence will do a brilliant job, no question. And of course the orchestra will as well. The history of Randy and Rachmaninoff goes back many, many, many years, obviously, and before him even, to the other conductors who have brought Rachmaninoff. And I believe that the Civic Orchestra has recently performed the Second Symphony of Rachmaninoff. So the musicians in our community are well versed in the language of Rachmaninoff, which is both passionate and also very cerebral, in that it's so brilliantly formed, and he has total control over all the compositional techniques that he needs, whether it's bugle or, he can do anything. And he can write the best melodies in the world. What can I say?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so I got a story you can tell me. I can't remember if he studied with Rachmaninoff. Everyone in Russia seems to have, touched base with him. So when we moved to Rachmaninoff, this is a man who, the fact that he touched Ravel and Stravinsky and all of the 20th century composers, and was a master of instrumentation. I mean, that's fully what we're going to hear in the second half of the program. But the Rachmaninoff is a special piece, and it's one of my favorites. And there's no question that the orchestra loves it too. And we've already had one rehearsal, even though it's months away because of my schedule. And I could hear immediately the orchestra is already well grounded and ready to go.
Well, looking forward to it so much. And then Scheherazade. Oh.
Yes. Yeah. Certainly one of my favorite works. I've known it since I was a child and been fascinated by it, and heard the stories that are depicted. Of course, we have the Arabian Bazaar, and we have Sinbad, and we have the lovers, and we have, water, and I mean, everything is depicted. The calls from the prayer towers, and everything is there. We're taken to another place, and it's for me one of my favorite works. Also, it is brilliant for the orchestra. it is something that is, because Rimsky-Korsakov was so absolutely brilliant as an orchestrator. He knew how to write well for all the instruments, and he knew how to write well within the instrument's possibilities, and create combinations that you wouldn't necessarily think of as working well together, and yet they do. And also writing solo opportunities for, of course, our concertmaster, who is the voice of Scheherazade telling these tales, but also the individual characters, long soliloquies for second trombone, for goodness sake, and trumpet and bassoon, and all of the major principals get a chance. The cellist get a chance at some solo work as well. So it's a wonderful. I think it's a very fitting way to send our orchestra into its summer break at the height of its orchestral and artistic ability, and to get the opportunity to show off the brilliant musicians within our ranks.
Yeah, it's just, I remember attending a young people's concert when I was a little girl, and there were excerpts of Scheherazade on the program, and it was just, I was just always entranced with the melodies, and it's just so memorable and emotional, and just
Yeah, I mean, it's the height. I mean, that's the thing about Russian music in the 19th century, and Rimsky-Korsakov had so much to do with that into the 20th century, of course. And it was a golden age. And, with Tchaikovsky, I mean, it just doesn't get much better. It is some of the greatest music, and it speaks to audiences, again, just as Beethoven does over hundreds of years. Just continues to enthrall, I think is a good word, and thrill for audiences, and also for orchestra, because it is a golden age because the orchestra was rising as an ensemble, as a virtuoso ensemble, and the skill of composers were beginning to match the virtuoso abilities of even the very best instrumentalists, and they were taking all that information and writing these great pieces of music that were just, continued to stretch the abilities of orchestras and make them into the powerhouse that they would be by the end of the 19th century, early 20th century, and into the 20th century, of course. And 21st.
And 21st.
Continuing.
We're well
as
into
we
that
hear with
now.
Gauholm's celebration, right? Yes.
Yes.
Because that's actually, I will just say about celebration, just to bring it back. You'll hear the sounds of Chinese festivals with the percussion instruments and things like that. So the idea of bringing in, depicting images and places and peoples is very important to what music can do, and that continues, and that's so exciting.
Well, excited for the program, excited to welcome you back for the final stretch of rehearsals and the amazing concert that will happen May 11th in the Atwood Concert Hall. And we hope that all of you will join us and spread the word to your friends and family to join us too. And then we'll rev up and have a whole new season of wonders to reveal soon about what will be happening next season. So Elizabeth, thank you so much it's been an incredible season. And we look forward to all the music in May and all the music ahead. And here's to spring.
Yes. Absolutely. See you in the Atwood. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.